We are now on air. Time for a total takeover.
It's finally here. Welcome to a new episode.
It's about to go down.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to another edition of the Dan Adams Show, coming to you from, once again, the Political Heat Remote Studios, aka the vehicle, aka the Blueberry. And it is Thursday, I believe it is June 16th, 2022. And I want to get into a couple of things. And it's crazy how this whole, hybrid working, I work with these gas prices. I told my manager it's a 45-minute drive to work. And with these gas prices hitting the pocket, I said, hey, I got at least to be able to work from home at least a couple of days. And my couple of days are up, so I'm back at the office today. But I just want to get into a couple of things. And I'm assuming you've seen and heard about the young lady down in Texas who won that congressional seat that was held by Democrats for 150 plus years. And everyone seems to think that this is another indicator of the big red wave coming in November. Now, I am hoping and I am praying, because ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, and as I will continue to say, I am not saying that the Republican Party, the GOP, is the answer to all of our ills. Because when they've been in power, they have not stepped up. They have disappointed. They have not shown a backbone on certain particular issues. But what can you possibly, in your mind, think that the alternative is the Democrat leftist regime, the ideology that has put us in the predicament that we're in right now? Inflation, the economy is tanking, the stock market is tanking, energy is at an all-time high. You have America looking weak on the world stage. The southern border is completely and utterly out of control, which they want. Don't think that they don't want it, because this is what they want. They want all of these illegal aliens just flowing into our country so they can put them on their voter rolls and make them Democrats and make them vote Democrat, because they are promising them anything and everything that they could possibly give them under the sun. But a lot of these illegal aliens who are coming in are starting to realize, whoops, they are promising all of this and not delivering. And the legal immigrants who are here legally and who are in the process of becoming citizens of the United States of America are busting their ass and realizing that, that paycheck is, man, why is it so much less than it was just a month ago? And why in the world am I paying so many taxes and giving my money out to individuals who defied our sovereignty, who defied immigration law, and just said, you know what? I'm waltzing into America because the current person that is in the White House, former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden. Let me fix my camera here. I didn't realize it was janky. Thank you. Former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and find every clip that I could possibly find where he is talking about, number one, wanting all illegal aliens to just flow into our country. Find every clip that has to deal with him stating, and this was during debates, for Christ's sake, that he was going to just demolish, destroy, and ultimately get rid of, remove, make sure they are no longer in existence, the oil companies, He said that, ladies and gentlemen. I'll play at the end of my diatribe. Right out of the gate, you'll see it. But for anyone on the left who has common sense, who has this an inkling of common sense, I am hoping that they realize that they just because they felt that Orange Man bad, Donald J. Trump was the devil. And let's just talk about his demeanor and how he talked. You can not like that. Crap. Lord have mercy. If Barack Hussein Obama, who I couldn't stand as president, if he had actually did some things that would have helped the country and put the country in a better position, then I would at least put away my disdain for the man and give the man props where props are due. But he didn't do that. Now, you may have hated Donald Trump, which a lot of y'all do, still do to this day. Y'all may have hated Donald Trump, but even in the midst of that last year, because like I said, a lot of people are just kind of just giving Donald J. Trump a pass because of what happened in regards to COVID. I'm giving him a pass, and especially the fact that he did not want to close down anything. He wanted to make sure that the economy and kids were still in school and the like. But no, you had leftist ideologues took over, and I can understand why Trump did what he did, because he couldn't, from a federal standpoint, mandate what states could do, what cities could do, what municipalities could do. Well, he stated very, very strong, bigly, that he did not want the economy to shut down, that he wanted our kids in school, everything opposite of what the left did. So and even in the midst of that last year of his presidency, and when he ultimately left and his administration was done, gas was still over less than half of where we're at right now. Even in the midst of COVID. That's how good the economy was. But then when you have leftists come aboard and do not follow their own. They kept saying we need to follow the science. In those first few months, yeah, I'm going to give you, all right, let's figure out what this is and change our tactics accordingly. Never happened, because they knew, and you got Megyn Kelly and the likes going on saying, Donald Trump lost. Donald Trump lost. Well, then explain how a decrepit, cognitively delayed, there we go, man who ran his campaign out of his basement got 10 million more votes than Barack Hussein Obama. I am not saying, and she keeps saying, and others keep saying, well, where is the evidence? Well, ladies and gentlemen, when the evidence is destroyed, how can you put forth evidence when it's destroyed? How can you put forth evidence when everyone who is behind it, everyone who had a hand in it, made sure there was no evidence to be found? Miss Megyn Kelly, I love you, but Miss Megyn Kelly, you're wrong into just ultimately thinking that Donald J. Trump lost and Sleepy Joe Biden won by 10 million more votes, or 11 million, whatever the heck the count is. The most votes that any president has received in history. The guy who can hardly complete a sentence. That's the guy that got 10 million plus votes more, the most in presidential history. Come on, Megan. Come on. Just because you want evidence. I know you're a lawyer. You want evidence, but come on. And with the mail-in voting and all that nonsense with all the states that allow that, and the what's the word I'm looking for? The harvesting of ballots. And she wants to, and she's not discrediting the movie 2000 Mules like Bill Barr is, but she wants evidence. Well, I'm sorry, Megan. When evidence is destroyed or evidence is withheld, and judges saying that they can't, meaning individuals who's looking for evidence are not allowed to find that evidence or are not giving the tools to find said evidence, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? That is the question. What are we supposed to do? Because I am not believing that massive fraud was not put in place to allow sleepy Joe Biden to become president. I'm sorry. There may have been some voters that were turned off by Trump at the end of his presidency and flipped. I'm not saying that's not true. But his base, and I mean his base that's been behind him since day one, was there for him. He had some converts. Maybe some converts ultimately switched. Would you mean to tell me 11 million or 10 million, whatever how many, switched to allow Joe Biden to become president? Child, please. I'm starting to get angry, so I'm going to end this. Continue to always keep God number one in your life. Always continue to work hard for what is yours and for what you're trying to achieve for you and your families. Do not allow anyone, and I mean anyone, whether it's government, family, friends, work, whatever, to stop you from achieving your dreams and your goals. And on that note, may God continue to bless you and yours. May He keep you and your family safe. Until next time, God bless. Peace.
Question for you. We were talking about this earlier. Have you heard people say now, they didn't always used to say this, and I guarantee you they won't be saying this when naturally gas prices will probably go down at some point, though it seems unlikely. Have you been told one of two things? Either the president doesn't have any effect on gas prices, or the president doesn't control gas prices, or there's more drilling taking place actually under former Vice President Biden than under Donald Trump. That's something that we hear a lot of.
Yeah.
I heard it on CNN this morning. Here's the problem. No. So, for those of you who don't know, because you may live in some states where you actually have decent gas prices, and by decent, I mean horrible, but not, swallow a gun horrible. It's now reached across the country over $5 a gallon as of Saturday, June 11th.
Yeah.
Here you go.
For the first time ever, the average price of gas nationwide has hit an unprecedented $5 a gallon. But for drivers in California, that price is still a bargain.
She sounds so happy about it.
For citizens in California, it's a good thing they won't need fuel to keep warm.
Yeah. By the way, citizens of California, you haven't seen $5 a gallon in decades, have you? Meaning it's well above.
Yeah.
Tom Selleck's taking all the gas for his avocado ranch.
This is my first high gas rodeo.
No, it's not.
No, I've been here before.
So let's go through some of why is this? Why are gas prices so high? And I know that this is one of the things people inherently know. I know we had 8 years of Obama, then we had 3 years of Donald Trump. I don't really count the 4th year. That's what I call the lost year because of the fabricated government reaction to the pandemic. Then we have Joe Biden. It's really valuable. 8, 3, and we're going to have 4. Mm-hmm. High gas prices, record low gas prices, high gas prices again. So you probably inherently know that it has something to do with the former vice president, but they've been trying to convince you that it doesn't. And let me give you some information just so you know it's wrong. All references available at loudearthcredit.com. Here is a claim that they are currently making. You will hear this. Gas prices are only high right now because of what? Russia, Russia, Russia.
The average price of gas nationally today hit $5 a gallon for the first time What's your message to the American people, especially as we head into the summer months, who are really struggling with this?
It's outrageous what the war in Ukraine is causing.
Okay.
I love that. It's Putin's price hike.
Yes.
It's Russia's problem for oil prices. Come on, Joe. Take
Well,
some responsibility.
here's the truth, is the majority of the gas price hikes took place before Russia. They were on a steep upward trend. Just
That
to be
does
clear.
look steep.
Yes.
Jeez.
About as steep as the right angle in the horse's back after that rider gets.
Just a black diamond hill.
Yeah. But there aren't even moguls. It's just a straight.
No, it's just, yeah, there's no bumps.
No bumps. So the majority took place before Russia. You know that, and I know that. And that might change, by the way, because the prices are going to continually rise, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's because of Russia. They were going up before Russia. They'll continue to go up. The Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, it clearly shows that there was an increase before the invasion. You have that chart right there. Okay, here's another truth. Since January 18th, 2021, Biden has, and this is important to note because people say, well, the president doesn't have control over gas prices. It's actually probably one of the issues where they have more control than most people, and that's because oil, in particular petroleum, is a highly speculative market. What do I mean by that? Sometimes you say, well, hold on, well, it doesn't have to do with supply and demand. It has very much to do with, regarding prices, projections.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking about future earnings. And so really helps determine whether you're going to drill, whether you're going to pull back. You will see a rubber band effect sometimes depending on when someone comes into office where gas prices go down just because of policies that may not be enacted for another year or two because they're willing to invest knowing that they'll recoup it. So that being said, former Vice President Biden has taken over 80 actions impacting what would impact gas prices, fossil fuels, largely against them. And here's the thing. Are you really surprised? I know people will argue this and say, well, there's more to it. Look. Again, the rhetoric matters when that directly affects the market.
Yeah.
Here's former Vice President Biden in his run-up in the election. He was clear.
I just want to give him a chance to respond, and then we can come back
Let's
to you.
stay on.
We're staying on this issue.
Number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuel industry. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill. Period. Ends. Number one.
Are you ready to commit to the responsible phase out of fossil fuel production as part of your administration?
I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel, and I am not going to cooperate with you, okay?
Now, before we get to the executive actions, you work for a fossil fuel company. I'll just tell you this.
Yeah.
Let's say the president said, I guarantee you, I will end Louder with Crowder. What do you think I would do? I would say I've probably got another year or until the next tax day where I get an auditing that destroys me. I'm going to pull back and save my money right now. Am I going to invest? Am I going to hire more people? Am I going to expand? No. Would I start drilling more? No. Would I invest in more equipment? No. Would I make more hires? No, of course not. You wouldn't increase the supply. You would reduce it because you try and collect the profits that you can because it's a limited window. When he says, in no uncertain terms, I'm going to end it. Now, let's look at his 80 executive actions that he has taken, by the way. I believe it was 80 actions. I don't know how many of them are executive orders, but a lot of them are executive orders.
Yeah, these are actions.
So here's one, Paris Climate Accord. He decided to join that Paris Climate Accord, which, by the way, does nothing to curb China's emissions.
Nope.
And...
And they matter.
Right. They'll get right on that. He revoked the Keystone XL pipeline. To be clear, sometimes they'll try and tell you that, well, Keystone is already done. Keystone XL is different from Keystone.
Yep.
He supported increases of $230 billion in taxes on oil. He reinstated the social cost of carbon metric. Some of the executive orders, there's day one, the climate change order. You have on January 27th, climate financing. You have on, is this May 20th?
Yeah.
Climate financial risk. Then you have... Is this
December 8th?
December 8th, clean energy economy, 100% electric vehicle fleet by 2035. That's before Elon Musk wanted to buy Twitter.
Now he's like, hope he gets to the moon.
Yeah.
Mars.
So it's very clear. Look, you have to look at these actions all going one way. And the claim that they're making, of course, that's going to affect the market. Now, here's another claim. Good, Tim. And they'll say this, well, it's a bounce back from COVID. Right? That's what's happening. It's a bounce back now because more people are driving because they weren't driving in COVID. Here's the truth. Okay? There's no actual data that would suggest that at all. I think we have an overlay right here. You can see that before and after COVID kicked off, it was still hovering right around $2.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
That's not where the steep increase took place.
Yeah, and it matters. So when people talk about it, the policies not mattering on like a Keystone or something like that, or a Paris Climate Accord, like you said, if you pull supply from the market globally that the United States was able to produce or was able to produce in the future in a couple of years with Keystone, right? If you pull that supply from the market, that means the prices are going to go up. People are going to say, oh, there's not going to be as much oil available in the market, which means prices have to go up, right? Or we have to increase capacity significantly. We have not had a good track record of getting OPEC to play ball in the past. They do kind of what they want to do, which is why Joe Biden is going hat in hand to Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern countries and also to Venezuela.
It's
and
also
saying,
so they can poop in the hat.
Well,
yeah,
he does need more hats.
His hat is just it's a porta potty, really.
But that's why he's doing it. And so people say he has no impact on this have no idea how this works. And the White House did say, thank God, that they're going to be releasing more oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is really for times of war, so that we can make sure that we can fight.
Well, we're at war. It's a proxy war with Ukraine, Russia. We're kind of send them $40 billion.
Basically, I think in this release, it's maybe a couple of million barrels. That'll do what I think a few hours worth of American consumption. Yeah. Another problem not solved.
No.
That he also takes no responsibility for.
Right, and that's important because here's another claim that they make, and this is the one that you hear everywhere right now because they know that it's okay, checkmate if it's not true, and Americans inherently believe that their claim is not true, so they just repeat it, just like safest, most secure election in history. So they're claiming right now that there's actually more domestic drilling under former Vice President Joe Biden than President Trump. That's what they're claiming. No. Okay. So let me explain to you. That's the truth. No. Let me explain to you. And this is one of those areas where nuance does matter, but it can be distilled. It's pretty simple, actually. The total number of permits issued under Biden in 2021, it was higher than Trump's highest year. Okay. Yeah. So Biden, first year was 4,800 drilling permits, right, in 2021. Trump was 4,600, 4,631 in 2020. Now, here's the thing. The permits issued are for leases sold mostly under Trump. Yeah. Think of them, remember rollover minutes? They're rollover leases. And then if you look at the trend, as expected, the Biden administration slashed the approvals for drilling by August of last year. So look at that chart. They go, look, there are more permits because Donald Trump was basically on his way to set a record year of permits. Then Biden came in. There were these permits that he couldn't necessarily stop. Boom, slash them. If you actually look on a month to month, the month where this was being slashed in August, guess what? It's very, very different than the months preceding it. Yeah. This is important. But the thing is, when they were campaigning, right, because they have to, this is what you see with the left. They have to be dishonest about their positions because they've got to appeal to the abortion up until 9 months and including birth period. They've got to appeal to the Green New Deal crowd. They've got to appeal to the crowd that turns off, for example, Latino voters. So he has to say, I will end fossil fuels. Yeah. Then when they get into office, they have to govern more moderately. Why? Because Americans often, and sometimes this is unfortunate, vote with their pocketbook. It's really hard to vote against your own self-interest, even if you are principled. And in this case, you just it's serendipitous because the two line up. You can vote your principles and you can vote your pocketbook. So then he gets into office. We go from, I'm going to end fossil fuels, to now things are so bad, they're making the claim, end fossil fuels, there's more drilling under me than under Donald Trump. Well, yeah, that's because of the first half of the year, which you then stopped.
Right. And he did it for show, not just for the American voters, but he did it that slash in August. I think it was down to like 170 permits basically in that month.
Right.
He did it in advance of going to a climate summit.
Exactly.
He was basically trying to show the world, look, see, I'm doing my part, guys, right? This is what happens. He's coming into office, and at the end of last year, the oil company said, holy crap, these leases are 2 years. They usually come with a 2-year automatic renewal if they apply for it, right? They're going, we have to get leases because this guy's going to shut it down.
Right.
The White House's response to all this is to continue to taper it off and go as low as they possibly can, and then say, like you said, more. But here's the thing. They just issued a statement today saying the oil company CEOs, this was a threat from Biden to the CEOs, increase production and stop price gouging. He's now blaming them. You know what capacity is right now? It's over 90%. We're roughly at about the same level we were in like 2015, 2016. Right. That's not a problem.
And by the way, that's important to note because let's do that math, right? Okay, more permits total because of what happened under Donald Trump and what happened in those last 6 months. But we're at capacity. What does that tell you? They're sitting on the leases because they don't want to develop it. They don't want to develop. They're not actually implementing the capabilities to drill. Why? Because that's very expensive. And this guy may or may not end fossil fuels. Keep in mind, it's not, I'm not a fan. It's not, let's find a middle ground, let's do it. It's, I'm going to, imagine if someone walked into any office, any company, and just said, I will end you. And then said, can't we find common ground?
Yeah.
I don't know. You're pretty emphatic about that whole ending me stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and in his threat to the CEOs, he basically pulled like a Mel Gibson. He's like, "You're a terrible person, but I will give you one more chance."
I will give you one more chance.
So this is his thing. He basically said, he threatened to enact war powers, executive powers given to the president for times of war, for war production, right? He said, "I will do this, but maybe we can come up with some solutions. Maybe you guys have some ideas on how to increase capacity."
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't just turn this off and on. If you look at a chart, which was linked in the article, if you look at a chart, it shows you when COVID hit, it was a slow trickle down because demand went down very quickly.
Yeah.
After it ended, it was a slow trickle up. And then in December of this last year, it trickled down just a little bit more. That's why they're making more profits. They had excess capacity. So they had excess expenses that they were paying out and not making any.
And they didn't know they were going to be falling off a cliff.
No, they
when
had
Joe
no
Biden
idea.
said, "No more drilling."
It's stupid. None of these arguments are honest. And people like Robert Reich out there saying that, oh, this is just price gouging. No, it's not.
Robert Reich?
He really hates Robert
I hate
Reich.
that guy because
He even asked the question.
he's out there like spewing this
He's
crap.
not a
and
fan.
Going on CNN and saying that these things are true, and it's not true.
No, it's not true.
Not at all true.
No, none of this is true. So the idea is it Russia? No, absolutely not. It was COVID?
He
No.
blamed Ukraine.
Yes, he blamed Ukraine.
Fairness.
Mostly the Ukrainian
It was
people.
mostly the Ukrainian people getting attacked by Russians.
Yeah, something also about $40 billion that I don't know we couldn't use here in the United
We
States.
don't need that money.
And then there's more drilling under Joe Biden than under Donald Trump. Well, okay, you know what? If PolitiFact and these people were being honest, they'd say, well, that's partially true, but that's because of the rollover from Donald Trump. And then Joe Biden has, boom, basically put a moratorium. He's actually cut the drilling. So if someone tries to present that to you, all references are available at louderwithcredit.com. I know this is what is being presented right now. It is arrogant from the left to go, there are more drilling permits under Biden. They don't actually understand economics. They don't actually understand what's happening with the oil industry, and they don't understand what. There's a huge difference between hard goods and services and a market that is largely based on speculation, which, by the way, supporters of speculative markets, they tend to overwhelmingly give money to Democrats. Just to be clear, big banks, Democrats.
You know how to fix this, though? One of the ways that you fix this is say, okay, you want to speculate on oil prices and drive them up or drive them down, investors? Take delivery. This was developed for oil companies to make sure that they could have supply and make sure our system wasn't interrupted. That's who it's for. When speculators drive up prices, which they can do sometimes, just say, okay, you have to take delivery.
Do they take DiGiorno?
Yeah,
in your Manhattan 1,000 square foot apartment that cost you $7 million.
Regular?
It's DiGiorno.
Let me give you the other story that I think is the biggest story, the one that everybody doesn't have to be told by the media what to think. Gas prices now officially over $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
We have blackouts in California. They're up to $9 a gallon. The inflation numbers have come out. They're way above expectations. It is 8.6%. But if you look at the shadow stats, the way we used to measure inflation back in the 1980s, that puts us down at inflation of 17%. Highest CPI since 1982. Real wages have been down 13 months in a row. And the government is still talking about like an SSI hike. They're talking about giving more money to more people. I mean, what do you do with SSI? You have to keep it, so people don't starve to death. But where is all of this coming from, and where are we headed?
And Biden goes on Jimmy Kimmel and says the economy is strong, the strongest in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there going, and then Kimmel goes, yeah, that's right, okay, yeah, that's right. And the stock market's melting down, Beck. It's melting down. So we are in a catastrophe economically. But it had to happen, Beck. Had to happen. Because this is the death knell of the progressive movement. You are seeing it right now. The Chesa Boudin firing in San Francisco was the first one. But Americans, if you care at all about your family, your children, your security, if you care at all, you've got to know this is the progressive left. They did it. Biden did it. That's it. Putin did not do it. Oh, I'm so angry. So angry.
I know. I hope that people hear that message and know it.
I'll go door to door with you, Beck. You and I will go door to door if we have
I would do it. I would do it, Bill. I tell you, it is the really the most incredible thing is that they are saying it in elitist groups, and they're hinting at it on television. You know, hey, we got to go through this pain to get off of dirty energy, but it is all coming undone. And Bill, I fear that we are dealing with a cornered animal. They know this is falling apart, and whoever takes over, first of all,
they can't stop it, Beck.
Yeah, he's going.
Go ahead.
No, I worry that, let's say that the Republicans get in, that they're not smart enough to figure out what's really going on. The second thing is he'll start doing it through executive order because he's doing it all through his administration. And Congress is not going to have the guts to cut off the money. I hope they do. They control the purse strings and start grabbing their power back. But they're going to do this through executive fiat. And whoever tries to stop them, these guys have nothing to lose anymore. Nothing.
Well, look, it's going to take a while, but people remember the Trump economy. They remember the 1.4% inflation rate under Trump, and now, as you pointed out, it's in the teens. They remember. And you know who's going to lead the way to destroy the progressive movement? Do you know who's going to lead the way? Hispanic voters. Hispanic voters are going to turn en masse against the Democrats because most of Hispanic Americans are hard-working people who are now being put in a ditch because they have to pay 3 times as much for gas and food. And they know it. I got a guy right now, Beck, cutting my lawn. All right? And he's a hard-working guy. And he's getting hammered. And Hispanic Americans are going to turn against the Democratic Party with a fury that we have never seen. And that is the end of the progressive movement. It's just going to be Cambridge, Massachusetts, Oakland, California. And you're right that Biden is so bad, that it's going to take longer for us to recover. But people are not going to forget.
I will tell you, Bill, that I just want to echo your sentiments about Hispanics. I had a guy who, when I was redoing my house, he would watch me paint, and I would watch him lay floors, and we had this conversation about how every passion really is art form. If you look at what you do as an art form, it's different. And he said, we can't get people who are Americans to do hard work anymore. And he said, brother, I'm first generation. My son doesn't want to do this. He said, so it's all the same. When you have luxury, they want to go and do something else. That's why we need immigration. We need immigration, and we need to foster that, and we need to foster a work ethic from our children.
I was taken aback as I was dealing with a personal matter in my office while watching the committee unfold at the statements by some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle about how it was not possible or appropriate or it wouldn't happen, I can't remember the exact wording, for states to be able to take care of this particular problem. The gentlelady from Texas the gentlelady from Texas had an exact quote.
Actually, if the gentleman yields, the state of Texas just unanimously passed active shooter alert and signed by Governor Abbott.
Reclaiming my time. Great. My point is, the gentlelady from Texas was talking about the inability of states to carry out the law enforcement function. And the specific, it literally said the quote, is why I got up out of my office and walked down here, as you literally said it. And my point is here we're talking about, federal spending, and the gentleman just said, well, Texas just passed this. Well, good for Texas, right? But we just act like there's this unlimited slush fund in this town to say we're going to go, there he goes again talking about spending. We're talking about, so $2 million, $50 million, $5 billion. Does it matter? right? When we're $30.5 trillion in debt. My colleagues on the other side of the
Gentlemen, are you advocating defunding the police? That's who this is for.
What I'm advocating for is allowing the police powers of the states to be able to do the job of the states, which is to police the states. Like, that's the whole point. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle, they go hide behind this and say, we're not defunding the police because you guys have some bill in here for a grant program, because the idea of the grant program is to then go micromanage what the states have to go do. Because that's the purpose of what you want to do. You want to use the federal money, the power and the coercion of the federal government to go tell states what they must do. And you want to do it with borrowed money. You want to do it with printed money.
Would the gentleman yield?
Not just yet. You want to do it with borrowed and printed money. Because that's what we do in this town. We go write blank checks because we want to go give a press conference about all the greatness that we're doing in this town. All of the awesome things that we're accomplishing. Meanwhile, you states, you say, well, are they going to do this or not? Well, they actually have to make a tough choice because they actually have to balance a budget. They actually have to decide, are we going to spend money in a school? Are we going to spend money on teachers? But in this case, what we do is we say, we'll write a blank check. And then my colleagues say, well, we're not defunding the police. But yet it is Democrats across the country that are clearly defunding the police. Austin, Texas, which I represent, $150 million slashed from the budget. People are waiting. They call 911. They can't get through. They're trying to get police. Police aren't trained. The very schools, the police are not actually being recruited now because we don't have the money to recruit them. Why? Because Democrats in the progressive quote-unquote oasis of Austin, Texas, stopped funding the police. I could go list by list here. Minneapolis, cutting their budget. New York City, cutting their budget. Cook County, Illinois, Portland, Oregon, Austin, Texas, Baltimore, Maryland, Los Angeles, California, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, all slashed their budget, cut police budgets. And now my Democratic colleagues want to say, oh, in our infinite wisdom, we're going to go say, here is in our blank check, here's some more money for us to tell you what you have to do.
Would the gentleman now yield?
I will yield to the chairman briefly.
Okay. Very briefly, 2 points. One, these are voluntary. They tell no local authority what to do. The authority can decide what to do for itself. And secondly, with respect to defunding the police, Republican-run cities spend $361 per resident on police. Democratic-run cities spend $498 per resident, at 38% more than Republicans.
In reclaiming my time, that data does not reflect whether or not the adequate number of police or the appropriate level of police are on the streets for what that city needs. That's the whole point of federalism. That's the whole point of allowing people to decide what they want to do. And if Democrat mayors and Democrat city councils are going to cross the country defund police, we see the consequences of it. You literally can't deny that in the last 2 years, there's been a massive spike in crime. And there's a direct correlation to the fact that we've defunded police across this country. It is literally in front of us and the American people know it. And here we are again with the blank check format of the federal government saying, here's money, we're going to put it out there. And even the chairman just said, well, it's this voluntary program. Well, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Just let Rhode Island, let Texas, let Illinois, let California figure out how to police their own states. Because to the gentlelady from Texas, I'm quite aware that we have 30 million people and we have the 10th biggest economy in the world, and I think we can figure out how to police the streets in Texas. I yield back.
And energy security worry is driving a lot of the thoughts now about, oh, we need more drilling of gas. We need more drilling of this. We need to go back to coal. No, we don't. We absolutely don't. And we have to prevent a false narrative from entering into this, or again, pun intended, we are cooked.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. I can't even keep up with it. We just got back from New Mexico. We just got back from California. That is not a question that we should be even asking. Just look at the work that he does. Look how he's delivering for the American public. Look, that article that we're talking about is hearsay. It's salacious. That's not what we care about. We care about how are we going to deliver for the American people? How are we going to make their lives better? That's what the president talks about. That is his focus. And that's where we're going to continue to focus on.
Record gas prices are fueling frustration. Minnesota's average is up to $4.72 a gallon today. The national average keeps cruising closer to $5. The owner of this gas station in St. Anthony seemed to sum things up nicely with this sign saying, "We hate our gas prices too." Marielle Mose shares his story and spoke with drivers about the ongoing struggle.
If the high gas prices everywhere have you feeling down, here at Murphy's service station in St. Anthony, they hope to lift those sorrows in a small way.
It's nice that they're having a little fun with it. If you don't have humor about it, you're just going to sit there and cry.
Drivers are greeted with this empathetic message just below those record high prices, and drivers appreciate it.
I mean, life has its challenges always, so it's good to just put a little humor in life.
Daoud New gave his larger vehicle a break to drive a sedan around instead to save where he can.
With the other car I was driving, cost like $100 almost to fill it up. So with this one I'm driving here is $50, so it's a big drop off.
Kyle Mose is filling up his truck for a grand total of $125. He's reminded by that comedic message that this surge is not any station's fault.
There's nothing they can do about it either. So to pay $5 a gallon of gas, it hurts the wallet, but you have to.
We make the same profit on a gallon of gas.
Chuck Graff is the owner of Murphy's Service Center. With his hands tied on the prices, the least he can do is help his customers smile about it.
It's just kind of our way of letting the customer know that we feel their pain.
There's been a nationwide record high for gas prices the last 13 days in a row. And if you think we have it bad with $4.79 a gallon, 19 other states, including Washington, D.C., have already surpassed $5 a gallon for unleaded. In St. Anthony, Marielle Mose, WCCO 4 News.
See them looking at you, all of them wishing they could have you. And as a matter of fact, a bunch of them itching for you to scratch them. I'm trying to hide in what we feel, trying to come with the real. And I'm gonna make it known, cause I want them to know. My little baby, my darling baby. Swear to you the talk of the town. Everybody wants to know what's going down. Babe, I know they've seen this before. Maybe at the liquor store, maybe at the health food stand, cause they don't know I'm your man. My lady, you're my lady. So cold, I know I love it when you love me. There's no other lover but you, me, lady, 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 lady. I can tell they're looking at us. Fat mallet on the one. I can tell they're looking at us. Big fat mallet on the one.